This thing is preparing to start on the YouTube. Going to this. Okay, so I'm going to share my screen. It's now on the YouTube. Okay, hello everyone. I would like to first start off with an acknowledgement of the native land, the Hahamunga tribe of Tongva Nation. If you could just please take a moment of silence and honor of those who came before us. Thank you. Okay, so I'm going to call this meeting to order at 1:09 p.m.
I'm going to take lunch.
and Tuesday, March 30th. If going to be taking roll. So I myself, I'm here. Sophia Acevedo.
Hi, here.
Thank you. Alexandra Lee.
Present.
Thank you. Anna Yang.
Here.
Thank you. Sean is absent. Alice.
She says she's here in the chat, but I think her mic is not working.
Okay, Alice is here. And Carrie.
I'm here, thanks.
Thank you. Okay, so I would like to make a motion to adopt the agenda of March 30th, 2021. Are there any changes that y'all believe should be made? Please let me know. If not, can I get a first?
First.
Okay, and a second, please.
Second.
Okay, thank you, Anna. All right, and so if no one opposes, I adopt this agenda. And then for the approval of minutes, I would like to make a motion to approve the minutes of March 16th, 2021. Are there any changes that should be made? Please let me know. If not, if I could please get a first and a second.
First.
Thank you, Sophia.
Second.
Thank you, Alexandra. Okay, so if no one opposes, minutes are approved for March 16th. Thank you. And then, so for today, we have any public comments? We do not on the YouTube. And so I'm going to, Carrie, is it okay if I go ahead and make a motion to suspend item number 3 and move on to discussion item invited guests?
So my recommendation is that you reorder your agenda and you go to that you renumber item 5 to item 3 and just push everything and item 3 to item 4 and just move everything on down. So reorganize, reorder and make item 5 item 3.
Okay.
And that requires a motion and approval from the committee.
Okay, so I would like to make a motion to arrange the agenda of March 30th, moving discussion item number 5 to number 3. If I could please get a first and a second.
Second.
Sorry, I didn't hear the first. Who was?
Oh, sorry, I was the first one. Well,
Okay, Sophia, thank you. And thank you, Anna. Second. All right, so for invited guests, I would like to, it's recommended that committee members discuss invited guests. So today we have 2 guests. I'm not sure if anyone has, any urgency to get out of this meeting first. Can you please let me know? So Dr. Hatch, is it okay if we start with Brenda Kyle from Theodore Payne?
Be great.
Okay, thank you. Hello, Brenda. Thank you
Hey,
for
everyone.
taking the time and joining us. We really appreciate it, and I'm very excited you could make it.
I'm excited to be here. PCC is my alma mater. Yay. Go Lancers.
Nice. That is great.
I work for the Theodore Payne Foundation. We're a native plant. We are an educational foundation. Our mission is education, and we support that education by running native plant nursery. We currently have an opportunity for a California native plant landscape certificate that is free. Classes start in May. Plenty of opportunity for Spanish speakers. I posted the link in chat if you want to apply, but please specify Spanish as the language. Pretty much guarantees a spot. I think we have 60 spots available, and in Spanish so far we have maybe 56, 57 applicants. For the English version, we have 30 spots available and 400 applicants. So yeah, it's the English speakers all are all over it. If you learn about this opportunity today and you are an educator, sole proprietor, you know, what we would call yarderos or, you know, jardineros, put in the comments how you learned about it is PCC, and we'll see what we can do about getting you into the program. Thank you for sharing that on the screen. The other opportunity is a free intro to native plants in Spanish. I will be facilitating that talk, and we go over basic things about California native plants, definition, the 4 basic biomes in Los Angeles County, how much water you save by going native, you know, the pros and cons, etc. So I think, did you want me to cover anything else, Emmanuel?
Well, thank you. I mean, definitely, you know, I think we're all ears. Would like to, you know, I'm glad this is being recorded because I want to be able to connect. On our campus, we have a program called Quest, and they help a lot of students who are undocumented, you know, Spanish speakers.
Mm-hmm.
And we do have on our campus 51% of students who identify as Hispanic. And, you know, I'm not sure how many are bilingual, how many only speak Spanish, but we'd like to be able to present this. You know, I'm hoping to, you know, create some sort of partnership where we don't just, I mean, I'm sure we'll rely on these certification programs, but also I believe y'all have a nursery as well.
We have a nursery. Yeah, we're on 22 acres. We propagate and sell. But 90% of what we sell is grown here on site.
Okay, wow. Was that in Sun Valley?
We're in Sun Valley, yeah.
Sun Valley.
We're tucked away in a little corner of Sun Valley. It gets to be 29 degrees in winter and 120 in summer. So it's awesome.
Nice.
Plus there's rattlesnakes and mountain lions and tarantula, hawk wasps. You know, there's never a dull moment.
And you all have been working on a little bit of there's a little bit of a trail, like a little nature walk kind of a thing.
Yeah, we have, that's Wildflower Hill.
Mhm.
There's no shade on that mountain at all, but it is open to the public as long as the grounds are open. And for, we've been open because we are considered an essential business. We are agriculture. We have native California walnut, native onions, native strawberries, native miner's lettuce. I mean, we have a lot of edible plants but we support a lot of infrastructure. So we are agriculture, we are open, we've been open, but you need to make a reservation to come out and visit, and you don't have to buy anything. Just being here and walking the grounds is a great eye-opener if you've never seen a completely native California landscape and a native California garden. The difference being the landscape itself regenerates on its own. Things recede and secede, and all of those things. And the gardens are more curated, where we have flowers that may not grow in this region, but they are California natives.
I was out there for a visit, I guess last summer, because we have a little bit of a garden space on campus that we've been trying to cultivate a number of things, right, including like growing some food. We have a little hydroponic system in there, but I also wanted to do a little California native garden. To highlight our campus connection, Emmanuel started the meeting with an acknowledgement to the indigenous people. And a lot of our meetings on campus start that way too, but we don't really have a physical space. Right? I feel like it's dedicated to that. And so one of my goals had been to get a garden going, right, that created that connection as a physical space, right, where people could go and learn about the indigenous cultures that existed right before Pasadena City College ever existed, before Pasadena ever existed. And so I was drawing some inspiration, right, from what you all do out there.
Yeah, so we have our land acknowledgement on our website, and usually when I start a meeting, I will acknowledge that as well. I didn't today because it's not my meeting, but we are on the ancestral lands of the Wican Vitam, now known as the Fernandeño Tatavian Band of Mission Indians. Our official place is Wicagna, the place of thorns. Everything has thorns. Everything. The birds have thorns. So that's where we are. Ethnobotany, ethnobotanical, anything through the foundation. We do have an education program, and anything having to do with ethnobotany, we contract with indigenous instructors. Even though everyone on staff is well versed on all things plants, we make an effort to definitely include indigenous people in that narrative. We have a teas class, we have a beading class. What does beading have to do with native plants? Well, we're beading a patch, a California poppy patch, and it's supposed to be a conversation while your hands are busy. You're beading this patch and acknowledging the land. We talk about land acknowledgements and while they're important, and we talk about the displacement of not just native people, but native plants, because the two are so interconnected that one does affect the other. So, we've been around for 60 years. Theodore Payne came here as an immigrant in 1896. Yeah, in 1896, like way back in the 1800s. And in the 1900s, he had a nursery in Los Feliz, right across the street from the Tam O'Shanter. So, he was advocating for the conversion of lawns to native plants way before decolonization was a thing. That's not language that we use, but that's what we advocate for. He was on it back in the 1900s.
Now it's called Sarascaping.
So I posted a couple of more links in there. So the landscape certification certificate, and we're closing. We're making decisions on who's going to get in probably by the end of Thursday. So get your applications in. It's just a survey. It shouldn't take any more than 5 minutes. But again, PCC, where you heard from it, and the language Spanish if you're interested in taking it in Spanish. So get that out there ASAP. There's no cost. We go over pruning, irrigation systems, some design, how to test the soil, where to put the different plants, how to choose your plants, all of that fantastic thing. You get a binder that has different irrigation systems, and you get a deck of cards that help you ID California native plants, and that's all part of it. And there's an optional in-person pruning and in-person irrigation workshop. So that's the number one, the landscape certification. The second thing was the YouTube link to our upcoming garden tour. Emmanuel, send me your email. We're making tickets available as outreach for different groups throughout California that might be interested in this garden tour, but may not have the means or opportunity to do so otherwise. It is all virtual. It is over 3 days. One ticket is good for all 3 days, and it includes public gardens and private gardens that are at least 51% native. So if you've never seen, what a public native garden could look like, this is a great opportunity, especially if you're planning a public space at Pasadena City College. So I would encourage you to check out the teaser and let me know if you want tickets. We can arrange to give you, I would start with 10 free tickets, and we can move that number up if you need them. And then the last thing that I posted was the link to the Eventbrite, which I think you were sharing the screen for the Introducción a Plantas Nativas. That's tomorrow, and that is also free. And, obviously I can do it, Spanglish, bilingual, or I try and do it 100% Spanish. And I encourage anyone that has parents that might be interested in California native plants to bring them along, having that multi-generational what is this? Someone give me a word for this. What is this?
Community.
There you go. This. We want a lot of this going on, not a lot of this. We want this, right? So it's great to have that interaction with different family members, because I bet there is someone that that knows these plants, but they forgot what they know.
I just pulled up your video. I saw it's 30 seconds. Do you mind if I play it?
Oh no, go ahead. And I think I sent the link to the cornfield, right?
Let me see. The Chinatown one?
Yeah, the cornfield. Yeah.
Okay.
I still call Cesar Chavez Brooklyn Avenue. Sorry. It's
okay.
It will always be Brooklyn Avenue.
Nice.
Mm-hmm. And then what you see there, the different poppy hours, those are obviously also free on YouTube. And watch the one with Hop Hopkins from the Sierra Club. He's an amazing person. If you don't know who he is, just Google his name. He recently had an article put out about performative. What's the word I'm looking for? I'm not thinking right now. I'm so sorry. Yeah, just Hop Hopkins.
Hop Hopkins?
Hop, H-O-P, Hopkins, Hopkins. He's an amazing naturalist. He runs an outdoor school. He is the highest ranking Black member of the Sierra Club. And he's outspoken, doing Jedi work before it had a name. So watch that one. Watch all the poppy hours. We talk about different things. In Hop's video, we talk about chickens because he raises chickens and people had questions about chickens. Then we move on to racism, and then more chickens, and then racism again. So yeah, the conversation just flows. So Poppy Hour is another free resource that we have. for the public, because again, our mission is education.
Right. That's amazing. Yeah. This is a lot of information, but very brief and concrete. I appreciate it. Yeah, I mean, if there's anything else you'd like to share,
No,
we
that's
welcome
it.
it.
The most important thing, get those surveys in. That deadline, it's out, what's today, Tuesday? Yeah, so a day and a half from now, we have to make decisions.
Okay.
So remember, Spanish, if that is an option for Spanish speakers, get in, you're practically guaranteed a spot. For English speakers, it's a lot more competitive, but put in PCC as how you learned about it. And, the criteria is we have to find people that serve LADWP customers. That's like one of the main things, but we also want to include educators. So if you have a public garden you work in, because you serve LA County, so there's different criteria. We want to favor the individual proprietor, mom and pop gardeners. But with 400 people and 30 spots, we can't guarantee anything, except that I promise I will look at every single one. We have a team of 2 people going through the surveys.
Awesome. If you could, one last thing, if you could please tell them about the student that you mentioned to me that wasn't a Spanish speaker, but they tried their best and they fulfilled the program in Spanish.
Yeah, so we had one person who was primary English speaker. The second language was Spanish, and she learned Spanish as a second language in college. So the conversation she and I had ahead was, this space is supposed to be a space for Spanish speakers. If you find that you're going back to English, go ahead and email me. I'm there on the side, but try not to take up the space that should be for Spanish speakers in English. I'm there to support in whatever way I can. But she did it. She did the whole program in Spanish. And remember, a lot of the plant names are going to be in botanical language, which is not English or Spanish. It's like a combination of Latin and Greek. And, you can learn that. And a lot of it is hands-on. So it's, if you have any kind of Spanish in your background, Spanish speaking, you can probably do this program. And, there's a lot of Q&A. The instructors are bicultural, bilingual. So there's a lot of Spanglish going on if that's what's necessary to get the point across. Don't feel that your Spanish is not good enough. Don't have that feeling, and don't feel that your English is not good enough either. Just apply. What's the worst that can happen?
Yeah. Well, really appreciate you joining us. Thank you once again.
Sure,
if
no
there's
problem.
any other questions anyone has? Any last questions? No.
Oh, I just
Madam?
want to ask, really quickly. So like, what's the baseline for somebody who can't speak Spanish but knows a little bit? Because I know very minimal Spanish, but I want to do it, but I know that I have a better chance if I apply for the Spanish one than the English
I
one.
can't see what your name is on the screen. Okay, Sofía.
Yeah.
Si te pregunto, ¿me puedes entiendes de lo que te estoy diciendo ahorita?
I literally have no idea what you just said.
Okay, then yeah.
1 second, I have a question. I can't something. That's all I know.
So I just asked you if you understood what I was asking. And
Well,
that's
I clearly
yeah.
did.
So that was a very basic question. So the cards themselves are bilingual. they're English Spanish. So, you know, you don't even have to look at the picture. There's no language being spoken. It's just look at the picture and figure it out. The instruction is in Spanish. If you already have a baseline of gardening terms in Spanish, I would encourage you to get in. This is the second and third sessions in Spanish are running concurrently. And after the third session, I don't know that we're going to be offering it again for free.
Okay.
Okay. So I think that I would encourage you maybe to do the English one and see, you know, and make sure that you put PCC in there as how you learned about it. And again, educators, people looking to go into sustainability careers, people that serve LADW customers, or people that serve LA County in general is what we're looking for. So, you know, designers, people that are already in the industry, maybe, but educators are important. We need to get the educators out there to, you know native plants so they can teach about native plants, to advocate for native plants.
Okay, got it. Thank you.
No problem. Anybody else have questions?
I guess that's it.
Okay, thank you, everyone.
Thank you once again. We'll keep in touch.
Thank you.
Órale, see you later.
Have a good one.
Bye.
Awesome. All right. So moving on to Dr. Hatch. Appreciate you joining us as well. I'm sure, you know, we've spoke about Brenda in the past, and you know, I hope that she was able to explain it a bit better than I was, as well as to that food justice course that we teach. But yeah, I mean, floor is yours now.
All right. Well, hi, everybody. I think I might have met just about everybody in this room in one place or another. So just in case, by way of introduction, my name is Dr. Hatch, or Nick is fine. I teach nutrition, and I do a few other things as well. And yeah, I think actually Brenda's a really neat contact because I was mentioning, you know, our little garden space, which is somewhat overgrown at the moment because we obviously haven't been on campus for a while. But I'm looking forward to one of the biggest reasons I'm looking forward to being back on campus is that we can get that garden going again. I was pricing some solar panels the other day and some things so that we can run the pump for our hydroponic system. So looking to get something a little more permanently installed. Our last batch of solar panels ran off, which, you know, whatever, it's fine. I hope that whoever got a hold of them has improved their life with those solar panels. But I'd like to you know, get a more permanent installation going so that maybe we don't have as much of that to think about. And yeah, so if you all, I don't know if you all have actually ever seen that little garden space, but it's fairly small, right? It used to be run by a different club, and that club, I guess everybody went on to other things. And so the formerly incarcerated Radical Scholars team has taken over care of that space. They are the stewards of that space, but it's really a space for anyone, right? And my goal has been to try to get, you know, I thought with the solar panels and things like that, maybe we could get some folks from engineering to do some stuff. I thought it would be neat if we got some people from natural sciences to come in and make some little like signs and informational type things for plants. As I was mentioning before, you know, one of the things that I'd really like to do is, I think it'd be great if the Thomas Paine folks wanted to come in and do a workshop. She was mentioning doing like a Zoom tour of gardens. And I think it would be neat if we could build up that space so that it was attractive enough to them, right, to include as some programming like that. And it really, it kind of gets down to the root of what I guess I'm really here to talk about, which is this this idea of food justice and how we promote that. Because you know, the initial idea behind the garden was to grow a little bit of food. Not a lot of food, it's not a lot of space, right? So, you know, we have limited capacity in what we can produce, but to have just a little bit of fresh produce to put in the food pantry, right? Because as I teach nutrition, you know, a lot of times I think about, you know, what I'm kind of holding up as the ideal of, you know, what's healthy, right? So these are the foods that we always talk about, these are the healthy foods. You should eat these foods to be healthy. And then when you look at those foods, right, they're very specific, right, to a population of people, right, a white population of people. And nutrition is very often taught kind of with that in mind. And so, and it has this kind of underlying theme then that if I'm holding up these as the healthy foods and holding up these as the ideal, then what am I saying about, other cultures and other foods? And that becomes an issue of justice, right? It's an issue of inclusivity, right? And who's made to feel as if they are good enough and who's made to feel as if they are not good enough. There are lots of other, we've been teaching this idea of food justice as part of the prison education project. And so we've covered some other topics as well. Lost my train of thought there for a second. The indigenous garden, right, is part of that, right? Because, because when you think about, how we grow food in the US, right, in our agricultural system, and even some of the things that they teach out at places like Thomas Paine, where they talk about, she was talking about native gardening versus native landscaping, right? And a lot of times that's taught as permaculture, right? Permaculture being kind of using the land to the benefit of the land itself, right? So instead of lots of input to kind of maintain something as this cultivated thing, right? You cultivate in the land in such a way that it can manage itself, essentially. And that's a practice, right? That has been practiced on this continent before any white folks were here, right? Before America was a country. And a lot of times that gets taught. It's kind of like this new hip thing, right? Or but really it's tapping into something that existed before. And so that becomes then an issue of justice as well, right? Are we acknowledging the folks who brought this wisdom, right? Who cultivated this wisdom, and are we giving them credit for that, right? Are we lifting them up as true stewards of this land, right? Or are we, because if we are, right? I mean, if we are to be the stewards of this land now, the self-proclaimed stewards of this land, then are we giving credit to the folks who deserve that credit? There are also issues of access, right? Access to food, and that kind of gets back to the Lantern Pantry and why I wanted to grow a little bit of food, right? To have some fresh foods available in the Lantern Pantry, preferably year round. Not that they haven't been doing a really great job, right? The Lantern Pantry is awesome. They get a lot of input, right, from the LA Food Bank, and they do a lot with what little resource they have in terms of staffing and whatnot. But it's, we have a limited capability, right, to provide kind of a variety of things, right? And so thinking of issues of food access and who has access to food, who has access to education about food, becomes an issue of more than just food and nutrition and health, right? It becomes an issue of this underlying concept of who deserves, right, to be treated well, to have access to things, to know, right, that they are deserving, right, of health and complete nutrition, just like everyone else, right, despite where they grew up, despite what they have access to, despite what around them, right? Everybody is deserving, and nutrition is not something that, it's not a luxury. It's not something that great if you have it, no big deal if you don't, right? It's a basic human need, right? It's a human right. Access to fresh water, right, is a basic. It's not something that is only for some people and not others, right? Access to clean, fresh drinking water is a basic human right, right? Because you need that to live. Right? And so these are issues that Emmanuel and I have been exploring in this food justice course that we've been offering through the Prison Education Project. And we'd like to bring that ultimately to PCC, right? Is not something that we do extracurricularly or on the side, but becomes something, that it can be maybe start out as a series of workshops or things like that we do on campus, right, or campus community, and tie into things that we're trying to do with the garden or trying to exemplify with the garden, right? And that's really what the garden is, right? Is a I don't want to say a promotional tool, right, but an area to illustrate or bring light to something, right, to put it kind of in the public eye, right, and get people talking about it. There's a bigger space, actually. It's just a dirt patch right now, but the steps that lead up to the L building, right, there's a big kind of patch of dirt there that's right on the quad, right? The garden is a little bit tucked away back in behind the trees beside the L building, so you might not see it unless you were looking for it. But this other patch of dirt is right on the quad. And that seems like a prime space, right, to talk about justice with regard to food and food access, and the land and how the land is used and how the land has been taken, and as to serve as a space, right there on the quad, right, where you can't miss it, right, where we could publicize these messages, right, and what we want to talk about. And ultimately, I'd love to write some curriculum, right, and put together a program and have that something as maybe a certificate program, and we could partner with folks like Anthony Francoso, if you know him, right, in sociology. There are lots of sociology folks, but he's my go-to guy for all things social justice. But if I could partner with him, but also some people in engineering, maybe again to kind of talk about when you talk about sustainability and an ever-growing population, and that gap between who has and who does not have, right, is ever widening as land becomes limiting, as resources become limiting, right? And so thinking about solutions, right, for being able to provide, right, an just and equitable way for everyone on this planet, even if there are 10 billion of us. Right? How are we going to do that, right? How are we going to do that and not have some people left behind, right? Because there's just they didn't have the resources, right, to access what's becoming more and more and more limited as the population grows. So I think it would be neat to do a multidisciplinary program, a certificate type program. So as always, I've come here with lots of ideas. Putting those ideas into practice is always the harder part, right? Finding the time, right, to put those ideas into practice, and the people who are willing to kind of engage and stay on board for the long run, right, to see these things to fruition is always the tough part. But I've really, what guides me is keeping justice kind of at the root of this education, right? And remembering that not everybody has equal access, right? And so when we teach, when we learn, when we implement, when we go out into the world, when we go out into our communities, right? Keeping that at the heart of it, right? This humanness, right? That we're here to serve all humans and not just a few humans. Not just to take what we can get and run with that, right? But to learn with the purpose, right, of providing that information in a way, right, that creates a more just society, is kind of at the root of what I'm doing. Emmanuel, did I hit all the points that you want me to hit? If not, ask me some questions, and you can steer me back to where you want me to be. And Carrie has a question.
Yeah, Carrie.
I do. Hey, Nick, so last year's group was really interested in doing the hydroponics.
Mm-hmm.
And they got the pieces together, but they were never able to finish the work on the job. Is that something? Because actually, I understand, the dirt and being outside and having that access. But I was really interested in that, because if it worked, because I really wanted to think about having demonstration models. Like those models we could have had one in the lobby of our building. We could have had,
Mm-hmm.
in the lobbies of the different places. And the idea what they wanted to have was that when the food was ripe, to allow people to go pick.
Yeah.
Is there any thoughts about that? Because I am fascinated by that option of trying to do hydroponics. I almost feel like the vertical hydroponics may be where we need to go to be able to feed everyone on society, right?
Yeah. Santiago was really he was really excited about those aeropods, right? They're vertical, right? And they have like a vat of water, and then it's aerosolized, right? And so it kind of goes up through the whole thing. And yeah, I mean, a number of things got in the way of that. I didn't actually wasn't sure how far he got on that. And has he transferred now, or is he still around?
Unfortunately, I think he had to go home because the virus just was, impacted a lot of folks. So we never were able to fully capitalize on that.
Yeah, no, I mean, that's something I'd still love to continue pursuing, right? And in terms of getting the pieces in place, like, are we talking like money, or did he actually buy one of these systems? Because it's just a matter of finding a place for it.
Yeah, we bought the pieces for it, and he was building it, and then and then his term ended, and then he kind of got lost in this. There's a lot of snafus with international students, and
Mhm,
he ended up homeless. And so I don't know where all that stuff went,
Yeah,
but
gotcha.
I'm willing to reinvest in again.
Yeah, I mean, I mean, demonstration spaces I think are important for projects like this, right? So the garden is one, right? And we have a more kind of traditional aquaponic system there with a big tank of water that, ultimately I want to put fish into, and then it's got, the clay pellets, right? But the vertical systems and the arrow is another way of doing that, right? And that's, I mean, really all we need is a place to plug it in, and somebody to tend to it, right? And that becomes then another demonstration, right? So it's not just tucked away in one corner, but could be in multiple places on campus, right? You just need a place to plug it in and some light, right? So places with, I suppose, that don't require LED lighting would be best. If they're, like, I'd always thought maybe that atrium of the library would be a neat space to put something like that, but I don't think it actually has a center. I don't know how much light actually gets in there. But like right there, smack dab in the center, I think would be a neat place to put something like that.
Something like that, or the second floor of the library where they've got that whole bank of windows.
Yeah. Or there's even that outdoor patio area.
Yeah.
In the library, I had thought, and there's actually on the third floor, there's like some planter boxes around the edges. And I had always thought it would be neat to do something like that. It always requires wrangling with facilities. But I think with, this committee, for example, right, not just the crazy professor asking about it, but a committee, right, coming to them, right, and saying that they want something that there's a little more power behind that, especially a student committee. There's also that giant fish tank. Just kind of while we're on the topic of demonstration spaces, that giant fish tank beside the cafeteria is currently empty because the professor who was maintaining it retired and I think moved to Colorado. And Martha, dean of natural sciences, asked me if I wanted to take that over, and I was, because I always say yes. So I said, sure, yeah, I'll do it. And then we, haven't been back on campus for a year, so I never filled it back up and put any fish in there. But I had also, thought that maybe that could be another place where we could fill it up. We could put some fish in there, but we could also, kind of similar to what's in my office, put some, a PVC system on the wall behind it and set up some LED lights above it, and could grow some food there even, and do like a slightly larger aquaponic than I have currently in my office. I know most of you probably haven't seen my office, but I have a fish tank in there and some PVC pipe on the wall, with the idea that it would be kind of a green wall, right, and grow lots of plants there. I had some limited but not great success with that, but it's a work in progress. And my office looks like a T-Mobile store at night because it's got this big like pink light, right, that turns on in the night to provide light. So my whole office like glows that T-Mobile pink color. It's so bright though that I wanted to like have a light cycle, for the plants at a time when people weren't going to be there and be bothered by it. So it's
Yeah.
I wonder if I unplug that. I wonder if that still comes on every night. I should probably check on that.
Well, I just wanted to throw that out there, and just for the
Yeah.
group that the folks that don't know, last year's sustainability committee really did a lot of work, and they actually had a lot of really solid plans, and they did some research. They visited these sites, and they were on a good path. They just ran out of time, and then with COVID, that just kind of derailed everything. So that was an option. I was just like to throw that out there as something for folks to think about. And this group is also running kind of, we're not there yet, but you're running your course. This group obviously will be done by June 30th. So that's just things about how can we may not be able to finish things 100%, but how do we lay the foundations? And what did we fail to do with the last group? We started off really well, but we needed to lay the foundation for the next group to pick up.
Yeah, and so if that's a project that you all want to pick up and run with, or if there are other projects you want to implement, I will be happy, right, to serve as a connection point, right, for those projects. So anything that I can do to support those projects, keep them moving, and then be the link to the next group to kind of pick up and continue on with, better than we did last time. I'm down to do that.
Yeah, thank you. Anyone else have any more questions? Yeah, definitely. Thank you. I think I mentioned to you before, I've gone to measure that space as well that you're speaking about. Um, and yeah, I mean, it would be great to be able to have students like the plan that they had last year, similar to the idea of had in the past, making sure that any tree that is removed or falls down is replaced with a fruit tree. And then obviously getting the design team, design technology courses, do some design that would, capture these things, at least prevent students from some sort of liability, at least until the fruit is ripe and before it falls down, making sure that it can be captured and then passed on to the Lancer Pantry. So for this event that we would like to do, like I mentioned to you before, still aim for it to be April 27th. And I have an outline. I think you've kind of hit the points that I didn't put in there. Just going based on uh, last event. Nothing different, really. Just trying to find out, what are the student learning outcomes. So what I had in mind, were three key things: is informing them about the issues of food justice,
Mhm.
um, what we can do, and then third would be, providing these growing methods, some sort of event where we can, I'm not sure where we're at right now with the campus allowing us to be at that garden. It would be great if we can do show up and, start off by cleaning it out again,
Mhm.
incorporating that event with first, of course, and anyone else who is, interested in that with all the, CDC regulations, precautions, um, taken to be necessary in order to do that. I still would like to provide those um, like window beds, like plant beds, or anything for indoors, just so that students can, you know, for those who don't have access to a garden, they can start at home, in their
Yeah.
room, wherever, in the kitchen, anywhere there's sunlight. Um, do you know if we see the light, Carrie, we might be able to eventually do some sort of drive up event where we can provide students these seeds, the materials for them to do this?
So I think there's a possibility, but what I would really advise you to do is that, Emmanuel, you've got a lot of ideas and a lot of projects. I would really like you to firmly commit to one project because that's what you have time to complete before the end of your time period. So I would suggest that maybe you sit down and talk with your group, and because I would like to bring them into this conversation, right? Because they're part of it, and just have you decide what is that project you want to do. Because you've got a lot of things. You mentioned the fruit trees, you mentioned the path of the dirt, and working with creating that garden. You mentioned cleaning out that garden. So the reality is, friend, you've got time for one event. So if it's a drive up event or if it's the cleaning out the garden, you still have time to do your other smaller things that, the things that, remember, you have a list of other things you want to do. But if you want to talk about doing one major event, I really would encourage you to kind of focus and sit down with your group and decide, what do you want to do? There's a lot of options, a lot of fun options.
Right.
So this is like going to Disneyland. Do you go right? Do you go left? Pick one and let's go for it.
Yeah. As far as supporting that event, though, I'm happy to be there, and I mean, I can present on anything you want. You know me, if you give me free reign, I'll just talk and talk and talk forever. So to Carrie's point, right? If you all want to get together and talk about like kind of one specific thing that you want to do, right? Then I can focus my talk, the portion of time that I have that day to kind of support that idea or that concept. So I could present some kind of larger issues of food justice, and then I could kind of hone in right on kind of one narrow slice of that to support whatever event it is that you all or action item, right, that you all kind of want to focus on for that. So I could certainly say something to support that, right, in kind of the larger overall context of food justice.
For sure. Cool. Well, thank you very much joining us. Appreciate it. Definitely keep in contact. And yeah, we'll make sure to include you into this outline, share the document with you. for any changes.
Cool. That sounds good. I have the 27th noted on my calendar as a date for this. So yeah, if you just kind of want to let me know what you're going to focus on, then I'll prepare some slides or something to kind of provide the context and then hone in on that.
Sounds good. Thank you.
All right. Good to see y'all.
Right. Have a good one.
Bye.
Bye. Okay, so let me see. So for pretty much out of time, let me go ahead and share this agenda again. So I would like to make a motion to table item 3. There is no action item, so that would be scratched, or also, I guess, tabled. So I'd like to make a motion to table items 3, discussion items B and C for our next meeting.
First. Second.
Okay, thank you. So for this, do I have to? Yes, I'll have to do roll call. So, Sophia.
Aye.
Thank you. Alexandra.
Aye.
Anna.
Aye.
Alice. Sorry, I can't see the chats. Alice. I'm going to then that be an abstain. Not sure if signal, can't hear it. Okay, so well, with a 1. So would that be a 4-1 vote with an abstain? Okay. Sorry, I can't hear you.
Hear you.
It's a 4-0-1 with
4-0.
one abstention.
Okay. Great, thank you. And then so I would like to let me see, make sure there's no public comment, none. Okay. So you have any comments, Carrie?
I do. I just want to make a comment for the group. So we are in the middle of election cycles for the associate students. And so as you've seen with Emmanuel, his position is the VP of Sustainability. There are other positions open. The president, there is a position for campus activities if you like doing activities like homecoming and Spirit Week. There's a business affairs, a communications position, academic, student services. So there's 12 different positions. And so I really want to encourage you all to think about running for student government. You've had a little bit of a taste of it here within the campus committees. It's just one more step up. If you want to be part of associate students, you kind of lead these discussions and lead these projects. It's a fulfilling experience. It's frustrating, as Emmanuel could tell you, but it's in the end, I think it's an amazing experience that will allow you to really kind of help and support your fellow students. Basically, as associate students member, there's 12 of them. They represent your voice to the academics and to the admin so that they try and make sure that your needs are met and they advocate for your needs, as well as really creating future policy. Emmanuel has sat on a lot of planning committees where he's laying the groundwork for these conversations. So such as the food service, who are we going to have come in as our food service? Master planning for the campus. How are we going to access our green spaces? So if you're interested at all, I encourage you to go to, I put the link in the chat, lancerlife.pasadena.edu. Right at the top there, you'll see a yellow banner on the right. Read that, go to the form section, fill out the form. It's pretty simple. Even though don't let it scare you. It says intent to run. You can fill that form out. I will gladly add you to the community, and then you'll get to read all of the information about anything that you have, any questions. It's information. It's all this information about what ASS does, what your job is, what would your responsibilities, things like that. So if you're interested, please go there. I really do encourage you to do that. Time commitment, people always ask, at the bare minimum is probably 10 hours a week. That's what you're obligated to do. Some students put in up to 15 to 20, depending on what they're doing. And it's always not every week. Sometimes it's every other week. Sometimes you're not doing 10 hours, right? It's just, but we like to say on average, you're doing 10 hours. Next year, we anticipate being on campus. So this will be an on campus and not a virtual thing. We still probably will do meetings virtually because I think it allows people to meet safely in a large space, and we're not quite safe there yet. But really encourage you to think about doing that. Just because you sign up doesn't obligate you to run. I just want to be really clear on that. You can do all this and go check it out and decide you don't want to do that. That's fine. We've had that happen before. So encourage you all to do this, especially if you're thinking about transferring. This is a great opportunity to show leadership on your resume before you transfer. So if you have any questions, I'm happy to help with that. This Friday, I will actually be sponsoring kind of a Q&A for folks who are interested in AS and what that is. And I'm trying to copy the invitation, and I'll put it right there in the chat. So let's see if that comes up. So that's also the link. If that's the information session for this Friday, it's at 4 o'clock. So if you would like to go, you're more than welcome to come. And yeah, just spread the word. That's all I have. Thanks.
Awesome. Thank you, Carrie. All right. So anyone have any announcements?
I had a question for Carrie.
Oh, yes. Go ahead.
I just went on the Lancer Live and under forms, and I don't think I see it.
I'm sorry, I was muted. Can you share your screen?
Oh, yeah. Hold on. Give me one second.
Sorry, I was talking to myself. I hate that.
Okay, can you see it?
Yeah, you can't see, this drives me crazy. Oh my gosh. Okay, give me 1 second. I'm going to try and flip the switch on this baby. Here we go. On properties. Okay, do me a favor, log off. And then I'll have you, hold on. Let's try if that works. Okay, log off and log back on.
I think I don't think I signed in,
Oh, that's probably why.
but
There it is.
I do see it now.
Okay. Yeah, because I made it public. You had to sign in. That was the responsibility. Okay. All right, there it is, the long one. So encourage all of you, please take a look at it, right? If you're interested in Emmanuel's position, if you're interested in continuing on with sustainability, that's a great place. But like I said, if you have other interests, according to your major, business, communications, right? Any of those things. We have people who are cognitive science majors running campus activities, right? So it's a lot of fun. So looking forward to seeing you all there.
Okay. Thank you. Anyone have any announcements? Okay. So moving forward for future meeting dates and times, next meeting will be April 13th, also at 1 p.m. and agenda items due by April 8th, 11:59 p.m. So with that, I'd like to make the motion to adjourn at 2:07 p.m. Thank you. Thank you, Alexander. Okay, so anyone opposing? Not? Mission adjourned. Meeting adjourned at 2:07 p.m. Thank you all.
Excellent. Good job.
Thanks, Gary.